Hi, my name is Chris Hampton, and I am so excited to be a part of the Living Generously Summit. The title of my topic that we're going to talk about today is I Can See Clearly Now My Vision is On. There's a quote that says, Vision and purpose are the two lenses that you need to see life more clearly. I didn't realize how important that quote was until I realized I needed these. I was at work one day and I was uh, doing a PowerPoint presentation and I kept adjusting the lens and I was like, "Could you see? Could you see? Is this coming clear?" And the people were like, "Chris, it's clear," but it was blurry to me. And I went to see an eye doctor because that's when I realized something was going on. And when I went to see the eye doctor, what happened was I could see clearly out of one eye, and then when they said, "Look at my left eye," it was blurry. I mean, so blurry I couldn't tell even the biggest letter. It almost felt like I lost total sight in that eye. That was traumatic to me because two things I realized was I thought I had 20/20 vision, but in reality, I was living with blurred vision. One eye was overcompensating for the other. Now, in reality, a lot of us are doing the same thing. We're living life with blurred vision. We're going through life with blurred vision. We see life through a lens that is blurry. But what happens is instead of getting your eyes checked out and getting your lenses adjusted, we end up living and adjusting to living with blurred vision. So our whole life is skewed because we're not seeing clearly. So vision and purpose are actually the two lenses again that you need to see life more clearly. When you go through life and you either have vision but you don't have purpose, or you have purpose and you have no vision, you end up living that blurred life. Now, vision is important. So let's define what vision is before we go into purpose. Vision is a clear mental picture of a preferable future. That's one way of seeing. There's actually two ways that we see. We have something called sight, and then we have something called vision. So we said vision is a clear mental picture of a preferable future, but what is sight? Sight is when you are living by what you see in front of you. So sight is what's in front of you, where vision is what's before you. I'll say it again. Sight is what's in front of you. Vision is what's before you. So how does it affect you in how you make your decisions? If you walk by sight, what happens alone? If you walk by sight alone, this is what happens. Put your hand in front of your face. And when you put your hand in front of your face, your perspective is different because it looks like your hand is bigger than it really is. Is your hand really as big as your eyesight is? No, but it looks that way because your sight is magnifying what's in front of you. So let's look at that in our lives when we are walking by sight and we see obstacles, right? We see obstacles that are in front of us. They look because they're in front of us, they look magnified. They look bigger than what they really are. Is it really the end of the world? When is it really the end of the world when you lost your job? No, that's an obstacle. But because it's in front of you, it's so real. It's in front of you. It's so large. It's in front of you. You start to make decisions based off of what's in front of you rather than what's before you. There's a Bible scripture that says that we walk by faith and not by sight. But what we really are saying is that we walk by vision. And when we say vision, we say that clear mental picture of a preferable future. What we're actually saying is, I believe in what I'm seeing, that even though it's not in front of me, my preferable future is before me. I'm going to live my life in such a way that my before becomes my now. That's why vision is important. With sight, when you get stuck by sight, you can get trapped and confined by sight. But when the reality is when you're looking at the bigger picture before you find out that the sight, you can go around it, you can go over it, you can go through it. Sight is only a temporary issue. What was before you is worth the journey. So vision is it's never in the present, where sight is in the present. You need them both. So I'm not saying that we disregard what's in front of you, because what's in front of you is real and what's in front of you needs to be dealt with, but it needs to be dealt with through the eyes of what you're going to. I'm not going to let this present situation stop me from building. I'm not going to let this present economy deter me from building my future reality. Why? Because my future is just as real as my present. And if I just press through just a little bit longer, I can make it through this present situation and move into my future situation. And then the present becomes your past. So we walk by what? Vision and not by sight. We dictate our life by vision and not by sight. So what's the next lens? The lens is purpose. Now that we said, now you need that vision, you need both. Now the other lens is purpose, and purpose is not so deep as people make it. It's not that the heavens are opening up and says, well, you are called to change the world. It's not like that deep at all. When you think about purpose, purpose is simply, what are you aiming at? What is your goal? Okay. Purpose gives you a reason to pursue what you see before you. So you need that, right? Purpose is that aim. Everything you need to do now should also, when you have your aim and your goal of what you're going to do to get to your vision, your future reality, you need purpose, because purpose is going to drive you through when you have those sight issues. Purpose will drive you to go past that. Why? Because what's in front of you wasn't really your aim. It's what you're going to do. It's going your business that you're going to build that is going to provide you with the wealth to take care of your family. That's before you. So when the economy breaks or the political situation is different than you would like it to be, you said, okay, this is happening to me now, but I have vision, a higher sight, a higher way of looking at this, and I have purpose. I still doesn't deter me. You see, when you have purpose, then you realize that tragedy does not change your purpose. Tragedies are going to happen. Issues and crises are going to come up, but crises don't change your purpose. It fuels you to go after your purpose. It fuels you to jettison you towards you. You can use tragedy as a way of building you up to go towards your purpose when you have the proper point of view. But if you don't have those two lenses, what happens is we live life blurred. Are you guilty of living with a blurred life? Well, hopefully, we're going to change that. So we're going to talk about today why purpose is important. Okay. So we said purpose will give you direction. So how do I know what purpose does? Purpose gives you your vision. Where vision tells you what your where and your what, where you're going to go. Purpose is going to be your why and your how. Okay. I'll say that again. Vision is your where and your what, and purpose is your why and your how. So let's think about purpose. So thinking about purpose will help you to understand why purpose is important. Purpose is your where. Okay. Purpose allows you to point the direction of where you're going. Okay. It is your GPS instructions on there. So a lot of us, what happens is we are drifting through life rather than navigating through life. When you are drifting through life, you have no sense of purpose. You're living your life based off of your dream, or you're living your life based off of a circumstance. You're living your life based off of what the environment dictates to you to do and to be. But when you are navigating through life, you know where you're going, you know the route you're going to try to take, you know the road that you want to go, you know what your end destination looks like. Therefore, when obstacles come, you can always redirect and re-put your instructions to go where you need to go. Why? Because you know where you're going to. When you don't know where you're going, you end up wandering. We need you to have purpose and vision that helps you to navigate through life. So where purpose helps you to do where. Purpose also tells you the what you're supposed to be doing. right? So when you know your purpose, you use your time differently. When you know your vision and your purpose, you use your time differently. You really should be running your relationships through your vision and purpose. You should be why is that important? Let's just park right there for your relationships. When you know that you have a purpose and you're building something, you don't want someone to be connected to you that's going into a different direction. And a lot of times I see this happen where our relations are not run through our vision and our purpose. And then you have someone you're dating, and then you're looking to marry that person, and they don't respect your vision or your purpose. And what happens is you get detoured because two can never walk together unless they agree. So you can imagine going through life with someone who doesn't recognize your purpose. Think about that. Going through life with someone who does not recognize or respect your purpose. You're called to be an entrepreneur, but they want you to bring in a daily check. You know you have to sacrifice when you start a new business, right? Well, in order for you to be married, you need to be on the same page. And if you're not on the same page, it's already starting. You have someone who is going in a different direction. What happens is it slows you down or takes you off the track, or it takes you twice as long to get where you could have been by yourself. So sometimes it's better to be by yourself than to have be connected to someone who wants to go in the opposite direction. So run your relationships. Everything you need to run through is running through that vision. Take your job that you're at currently now. You actually will appreciate your job better when you are running it through the eyes of vision and purpose rather than looking at that paycheck. When you understand that you're on the job and your job is a resource that funds your vision and purpose, you go to work differently than you do when you just go to work just for the check. I look at my job now and I'm a dualpreneur, and I am thankful that I have a job. And eventually I'll probably be a full-time entrepreneur eventually, but I'm not rushing. And the reason why is because my job is a resource to me. It is training me for my future me. I'm not going to always be at that place. I know I'm not going to always be at that place. But while I'm at that place, I treat my job as an internship for my future me. So that when I get management opportunities, the reason why I got the management opportunity was not so that I can say I'm a manager. No, it's so that I can manage my career, my excuse me, I can manage my job better because I can manage the future me better. Everything that I'm learning as a manager on my job is preparing me to manage my business. When I look at my job through the eyes of my purpose, I have more value in the place that I'm at right now. You wake up every morning and say, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job. I need you to change your lens to vision and purpose and see the benefits that that job can do. So you know that there are certain things that your job can do that can set you up for your next level. They may be offering leadership classes and management classes and giving you different resources that you're not tapping into because you're looking at your job as a paycheck rather than a resource that is training you for the next year. Ooh, that was good. So we said purpose and vision help you to know where you're going and what you should be doing on your way to where, right? It also is why. It gives you a sense of purpose. When you know your purpose, it gives you a why. You know why you are where you are. It hurts my heart when I see people who are ending their life because they don't feel that they fit into the world that is here now. Then they rather take their life than live on, right? The main reason for that is they don't see their why because they don't know their where and they don't know their what. What they're basically saying is, I don't have purpose. And because they can't see their purpose, they become depressed. And I do believe that's one of the reasons for depression is when you don't have a sense of purpose, right? You become depressed. You're like, what am I doing this for? So it gives you a why that lets you know why you're here. So when you know why you're here, you know what you're doing and you know where you're going. I'm going somewhere with this. And the next point is the vision and purpose tells you how. I love this because how talks about the vehicle. How am I going to get where I'm going? Right. And here's the problem that I have with the way we educate our children and how we educate ourselves. We train our children and we train ourselves to for our careers to follow a vehicle. Teaching is a vehicle, right? A high school teaching is my calling, but being a high school teacher is a vehicle, right? My very first car that I had was a doo-doo brown Nissan Datsun. They don't even make that color anymore. I don't know why they made that color, but they don't even make that car anymore, right? When I was 18, 17, 18 years old, I had that doo-doo brown Nissan. I drove that thing till the wheels came off. I am not driving the same vehicle that I was driving when I was in high school. And it's the same thing with our jobs. When you understand that your job is a vehicle to get you to a different destination and your purpose, then it's okay to realize that that vehicle is only for a season in your life. So you may be a high school teacher now. That doesn't mean that you can be a coach. You can be a motivational speaker. I am now a global teacher because I chose the vehicle of being a motivational coach, a leadership coach. I didn't want to go to a high school. I go to high schools to teach, but I'm not doing that day in and day out, day in and day out. That would be hard for me because that's not my purpose. My purpose is to have the freedom and the ability to speak to the world, right? So don't get tied to your vehicle and understand that that vehicle that you're in right now is to take you from point A to point B. I remember sharing this story at a school and sharing this to teachers and students. And one of the teachers said, I was in another profession. And in the mid part of my life, I changed over to become a teacher. And I'm so satisfied to become a school teacher and I feel like I am more effective here than I was in that other corporate position. So they realized that it was a time in their life that they had to change their vehicle in order to fulfill their purpose. So that's what the how means. And then the last is when, the timeline. When do I start? You know, life, as I start to get older, I realize that time is getting faster. And I realize the currency of time, right? So when you look at the when, you have to decide that your time is valuable and you need to put a timeline on your purpose. You need to look at timeline on what you're going to do. You use your time better. Well, when do I have time to fulfill my purpose if I have a full-time job and I'm a full-time parent and I want to write a book, but I don't have any time? You don't have any time? You mean you don't have any time? You know, someone says you can. Saw this quote earlier today. We can wake up 7 o'clock in the morning to get to a job that pays us a paycheck for someone else's vision, but you can't wake up 5 o'clock to be able to do your own. Even if you were to write a book, you say, I have this book that's burning on the inside. It's a part of my purpose to write this book, but I just don't have the time. I'm a full-time single parent. But you can always take a half an hour before you go to bed and focus on the chapter. When you make that timeline your importance, time becomes more critical and crucial to you. And you can use your time. And you put a timeline. When do I start? You start now. I am here today because the little steps that I've made in the past to get to where I'm at. Today is just a group of little steps that have given me to where I am today. So the little steps that you do when you decide to make now the moment to move forward is going to jettison. And then you're going to find out when you look back, those little steps have led to where you are now, miles and miles and miles ahead. Okay. So we said, where am I going? What am I supposed to be doing on my way to where? Why, my intention, how, my vehicle, and when is my timeline? Don't waste time understanding that you need purpose. Well, you're like, I need to discover how to discover my purpose, right? I don't know my purpose. Well, I'm going to give you a few things that are going to help you to discover what your purpose is. Okay. So, a lot of times, purpose is found in the problem. The problem. Sometimes, have you ever watched the news and it just irked you so much, and you was like, "My community is falling apart. My job, the management just doesn't seem to understand the issue, but it's so plainly in front of me what the answer is." And a lot of times, it's a problem that we are able to recognize that we think that someone else is going to fix it. And that's the problem. I realize this: when you see the problem and you can recognize that there's a problem, we also have the ability to solve that problem. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I had on my heart in the city of Camden was to be able to do youth outreach and help youth to understand their gifts and their talents and their ability. I saw a problem, but then I networked with the group of community leaders, and we started an open mic in Camden, New Jersey, called Good Vibes Open Mic, right? And that was about the same time as I started Champ I Am, right? My business. By us seeing that problem, we started to be the solution about creating safe spaces in our community. So seeing that there was a void in our community, we came up with a way to fill that void. And now, 9 years later, it's still running strong. Where we have about 60 youth that come once a month, and we just have jams, music jams, and poetry slams, and all those things. But we provided a safe space in a city that had a bad rap. You see, I saw a problem. What is the problem that you may be seeing that you might be the answer to, but you think someone else is going to fix it? No, part of your purpose is, if you can see it, maybe you're called to fix it. And here's the best thing about that, because you're like, well, maybe I'm, you see problems on your job all the day long, and no one's taking responsibility to fix it, but you end up fixing it. What happens is wealth comes to the person that can fix the problem. You are a problem solver. You just have to step out and try to fix the problem. You want your community to be better, step out into your community and do better. Be a part of the solution. Maybe your purpose is keeping your block clean. Maybe your purpose is encouraging your neighbors, right? If you see the problem, you may have the ability to fix that problem. And a lot of times, it's not the big answers that are making the difference, it's the little things that we do that can turn a nation around, can turn a community around, can turn your family around. So even though your little idea, that little idea of an open mic has created potential artists that were never even thinking about doing albums, and now they're creating their own albums. So out of that spark of saying that little thing about creating spaces, we've now created artists that are now creating music and going out and affecting their community, with influencing their community with their gift. And that happened because we saw a problem and we said, we will be the answer. Will you take up the charge and be the answer? The other P is pain. Sometimes your purpose is found through your pain. Why do you say pain? So some of us have gone through trauma. Some of us have gone through abusive situations. Some of us have lived through it and survived it and learned the lesson from it. It's not enough to go through the pain. It's not enough to be living in the pain, but you make sure that you learn the lesson. And when you learn the lesson, you realize that you don't want someone else to continue in that pain when you realize that you have the answer. So sometimes the pain unearths the purpose. And then you end up advocating for the issues that caused you pain. You were you were in addiction, and then you found out that you got free from that addiction, right? Now you're empowering other people that they don't have to go through that addiction again. You've gone through an abusive situation, and you've now gone through the steps to heal from that. Now you want to be able to be an advocate to help other people not go through that and suffer through that abuse again, because you know the way out, right? So your pain even has purpose. The other P is your passion. Let's talk about your passion. What are you passionate about? What are those causes that bring you joy? What is it that you would do for free, but you would do it as if you were getting paid? I spoke as a motivational speaker for the first 5 years without getting paid, but I did it because it was my passion. I did it because it brought me joy. I did it because it fulfilled me and it was building my purpose up. Now I get paid. Now I have my own platform. Now I'm actually going internationally and helping people across the globe, right? But it started because I discovered I had a passion to influence leaders and to build leaders up and to help people to find their purpose and their vision in their life, right? My passion led me to my purpose. The last P, what are you phenomenal about? You know, what are you phenomenal about? A lot of times, what are you phenomenal at? Like I said, a lot of times we forget that we have giftings, talents, and abilities. I call them your GTAs. It's not Grand Theft Auto, it's GTAs, right? So your GTAs are your giftings, your talents, and abilities. Those things that you're phenomenal at. The problem is that you compare your phenomenal giftings to someone else's, and then you diminish what you're phenomenal at. I knew someone who was during COVID that started their business because and it took them to another level economically, and their gift was crocheting. Now you're looking at crochet. This person can crochet hats, crochet scarves, socks, baby gear. I knew a fashion designer that crocheted bikinis, had a whole fashion line of wares just with crochet, right? But you're looking at crocheting and you're comparing it to someone who's a lawyer or a stockbroker or saying, well, that's not that. And you're diminishing your gift that was meant to propel you. You can't put the crochet needles in the lawyer's hand and tell him to make something. It's not his gift, right? So don't diminish your giftings, your talents, and your abilities because they were designed for you. Use every one of them. I have so many gifts that are on the inside of me. And I realize that every gift is there to propel me closer to my purpose. So, what I would say to you is this: make a list of what your giftings, your talents, and your abilities are. And I want you to take a look at that list once you're done and say, how many of those gifts have helped me to go towards my purpose? Now, I sing, right? But I am not the best singer, but I'm good enough to sing on stage, right? That gift had propelled me in. I'll show you how that gift worked. I was volunteering with my mentor to speak at a conference to work his sales table. I said, I'm going to work your sales table and you don't even get to pay me. I just want to see you do what you do. We went to this student leadership conference in DC. And when we got there, we found out that there was supposed to be a gospel choir um, that there, and the students were really, really looking forward to this gospel choir event. Well, the gospel choir leader never showed up. And my mentor at the time, he looked at me and says, well, Chris, you lead praise and worship every day at your church, every Sunday at your church. You can step in. So, well, one, thank you for volunteering my gift. But the other thing, I was looking around, I was like, well, I don't have, and this is what we do sometimes. I don't have this. I don't have that. I started looking. I don't play the piano. I don't play the drums, and I don't do all that stuff. I just sing. And I was almost about to talk myself out of it, but he said, look, you got thousands of kids here. Somebody knows how to play the keyboard. Someone knows how to play the drums. And you know what? Out of the thousands of kids there, someone played the keyboard and someone played the drums. All of our gifts came together. I was able to direct and arrange the music. And we ended up having, and me, in that event, we ended up having a full gospel concert right before Ayala Van Zant spoke. So I went from being serving at the back of the table to being in the front as a frontlining event in a major college event. And I was elevated from being the salesman in the back at table to being the man that brought the gospel choir together. That was one of my gifts. Now, I don't sing like Luther. I don't sing like whoever the new stars out there that are out there today, but I still had that singing gift. And that singing gift opens the door for you. There's another gift. There's no scripture that talks about how your gift will make way for you and bring you in front of kings and things like that. So your gift will make way for you if you make way for the gift. Don't discount your gift, because your gift is specifically designed for you. So I want you to do that. I want you to, again, take a listing of your gifts, your talents, and your abilities, and then say, I use this gift, but I don't use any of these. And start thinking about ways that you can make that gift work for you. Make that gift work for you, because the gift will only work when you work the gift. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So when you understand and you don't underestimate your gifting, your talents, your ability, you realize one thing, that your giftings and your talents and abilities will do things. It'll point you in the direction of your purpose. It'll prepare you for your purpose. And it also protects you on your way to purpose, because you know what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to be. So I want you again to understand that when you have the right vision and the right purpose for your life, those two lenses, again, so that you're not walking around with blurred vision, you are now able to prevent your life from being hijacked from present struggles. Why? Because you're not living in your now, you're walking towards your future. And when now becomes tight, you have something that you can look forward to get through what you're going through now, right? I want to really want you to live life generously, and I hope that you're learning from this summit, from all the speakers that we're presenting, is that you got to change how you're looking at the situation. And when you can look at life through vision and purpose, anything can happen, and now you can pivot. Why? Because you know that your now is not the only thing you can worry about. Your now is not the only option. You have more. You have a future that you can push forward to. Why? Because you have something greater that you're working towards. I hope this was helpful for you. My name again is Chris Hampton, and I want you to connect with me at champim.org. And again, if this is helpful to you, share, let people know about this summit. Let us know how this summit is doing, how it's blessing you and challenging you to go to the next level. And I'm glad to be a part of that journey too. Again, I want you to be able to say that I have the two lenses and I'm not living with blurred vision, so I can now live life generously. Again, I'm Christopher Hampton, champ by him. God bless, and you'll have a great day.